Climate change. Global veganisation is now a survival imperative, according to IPCC expert reviewer. That's the International Panel on Climate Change, which is not climate experts, it's bureaucrats. Remember, the IPCC expert reviewer. Governments are being warned that a mass move to a vegan diet without meat or animal products is imperative, and get this, imperative for the survival of humanity. That is pretty serious stuff. A group comprising Nobel laureates, don't know if it's in science or anything else, 14 cities, it's not a majority of cities in the world, and 40,000 individuals, so a few people on a global scale, are urging countries to transition to plant-based food at an international climate summit in Germany, which started this week. The research for the IPCC shows greater uptake of the vegan diet would massively reduce emissions. It comes as New Zealand agricultural sector, it's working out its plans to price emissions. There we go. Can we save the planet, or would we save the planet if we all went vegan? I'm just going to declare before this interview starts that I probably come from the view that it doesn't, but I'm prepared to understand or try and understand why it might. And to do that, we are joined by Claire Insley, and she is the New Zealand Vegan Society Aotearoa. Claire Insley joins us now. Claire, welcome to the program.
Kia ora, Sean. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Have you had breakfast?
I haven't. I'm here. I had to drive in to find some signal, so no, I haven't had breakfast yet. Oh,
God, but Lord. Thank you for taking the trouble, by the way. That's noble of you.
No problem.
All right. So how does me stopping eating my bacon and butty in the morning, how does that save the planet?
Well, firstly, I just want to say to you, I'm going to go home and eat a bacon butty myself, and it'll be a vegan bacon butty. And I admit I haven't eaten bacon in I don't know how long, like probably...
What do you mean a vegan bacon butty? If it's vegan, if it hasn't got pig in it, it's not bacon.
Well, it tastes pretty much like it. So
okay, so what is in it?
It's pea protein, and the thing that makes bacon taste so yummy is a smoky flavour. So it's essentially pea protein and a smoky flavour. But it looks like bacon when you're sizzling it looks like.
How processed is it to make it seem like bacon? I hate to think of the chemicals that you've got to put in there and all the components.
It's really not. I wish I'd brought the packet with me and I could read out to you what's in it, but it's really not that processed at all. Certainly no more processed than bacon is.
No, bacon's pretty simple. Well, they pump it full of water.
You haven't just sliced it off the pig, have you?
But I don't know. No. I look at a beefsteak, and I look at the vegan non-meat beefsteak, and one of them is just beef, and the other one's a whole lot of additives, lichens, preservatives, colourings. I mean, one of them seems to me to be horribly chemical and horribly dependent on technologies and all sorts of stuff. And the other one just seems to be, like a steak, you know?
I do know, but the problem is that the actual steak is actually killing our planet.
How?
So, you've got to...
How does it kill our planet? Come on.
Because, if you let me speak, I'll give you the answer. We're raising 75 billion land animals on 85% of the available global farmland to produce just 18% of our calories. So, just do the maths on that for a second. It really is not possible to feed 8 billion people on a meat and dairy diet. That we just don't have the resources available. We don't have the land, we don't have the water, and we're rapidly running out of the oxygen because we're filling it all up with carbon dioxide instead. So, we're heading back to the time of the Triassic period where we had we've already got over 415 parts per million of carbon dioxide in the air. We really need to reduce that very, very quickly. And one of the quickest ways to do that is to reduce animal agriculture down to zero.
Anything else to add? to that? Because I don't want to interrupt you.
Okay. Okay, so the 2 cows that you can grow on an area of land that will feed 1 person for a year can be used to grow soybeans and feed 64 people for a year. So immediately we're able to supply enough food for 64 times the population that's currently eating meat and dairy.
I guess the thing I think about is, have I got enough to eat? Have my family got enough to eat? Have the people immediately around me got enough to eat in the company and the country? And it seems to me that the diets are varied across the world, given what's available and what traditional and what culture is, in fact, because we cannot take culture out of this. That's very, very important. But I'm still not convinced. I'm still not convinced by the hodgepodge of statistics that you gave me that beef is killing the planet.
Well, perhaps you need to look further into it. And
should I do my homework?
I think you should. Don't you?
Well, I don't know.
Doesn't it make sense?
So how does me having bacon this morning kill the planet? And could I ask you, can you give me a data set or an absolute kind of thing? If everyone stopped eating meat tomorrow in the world, what would be the effect on global warming?
That's not going to happen. Everyone stops tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
And the thing is, we've still got 75 billion animals being produced, right? So what we're really looking for is to not continue to breed animals into existence just so that we can eat them.
So should we go also, if animals are the problem, I presume we have to go and kill wild animals too?
Absolutely not. We've got very little wildlife left. Because they're not the ones that are causing the problems.
Do they not cause? Does a wild ruminant animal not cause the same problems as a farmed ruminant animal?
It does, but the numbers are very different.
So we should kill them too.
The numbers are different. We are overproducing a whole heap of ruminant animals just so we can eat them. They actually make us sick. What we actually need to be doing is eating more plants, which make us healthy. And plants produce oxygen. They suck up carbon dioxide and they breathe out oxygen. So actually, once we do that, we're getting well on the way to reducing our carbon dioxide levels quite quickly.
If we don't do this, when will the Earth end?
No one can give you that. No one can give you that date.
But you can tell me that beef's killing the planet, but you can't give me a date. I've got stuff I want to do before the world ends.
Well, good. Do it now. Because we've got 6 years.
Well, one of the things is eating steak. I want to go to Argentina and I want to have their great steak. They have good steak there, apparently.
Apparently they do, and it is a very big steak-eating nation. But it doesn't mean that it's a good idea to do it because I personally don't have kids, but anybody that has children, anybody that has grandchildren, those people are going to have to live with the effects of what we're doing now. And it's not going to be pretty. We're going to be heading for a Mad Max utopia.
Well, really? Dystopia. So when do we get to the Mad Max point? Because that was a good movie.
It was a good movie, but do you actually want to live in that world? A desert world full of
Well, Claire, you might get the point that I don't believe any of your predictions. I think that you've got a couple of figures on 750 million ruminant animals and you're losing your mind over it. And I don't think the sky's falling.
Well, it is where I am because I'm watching thunderstorms and lightning overhead.
That's called weather, Claire. That's weather. It's been happening a long time, the weather.
And climate. Yes, it has, but the climate is changing.
The climate's always been changing, Claire. Always been changing. You say, I think you'll find it has.
The weather changes, the climate doesn't.
Yeah,
or rather it is now, and that's the problem.
It always has been.
That's the problem.
It always has been changing though, hasn't it?
No, the weather has been changing. The climate has been getting more unbalanced as we progressed throughout this century.
All right. Well, all this...
And they
Carry on.
They knew back in the beginning of the 20th century that the use of fossil fuels was going to push carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere to a problem point. And here we are at that problem point now. We are witnessing massive storms, massive droughts, massive floods, extremes of weather conditions all over the world.
Yeah. Isn't it great, though, that in the last 100 years, human deaths from extreme weather events have dropped markedly?
Have they?
Yeah, they have.
Well, I guess I need to do the
you need to do some homework too.
Look,
I've got to let you go and have your non-meat bacon buddy. Thank you for your time today. We'll talk again, Claire. I've got to give one piece of friendly advice. Do not worry too much. I think the sun will rise tomorrow, depending on the weather.
The sun will rise tomorrow. Whether or not we'll live to see it is another matter.
I'm pretty sure I'll be there. Thank you. That is Claire. And good on her. I love people coming up who've got a different view than me. That's Claire Insley from the Vegan Society, Aotearoa. The Vegan Society Aotearoa. That may be the New Zealand Vegan Society as well. I'm not too sure. If you want to ring in with your views on that, and views on Matt Tukaki, the number is 0800 332283. 0800 332283. And don't say this. Someone said, Sean is interviewing a complete nutcase vegan. God help us if these idiots ever get into a place of power. Pete, the Greens are already in Parliament. It's happened. Not nutcases, people with different views. I don't know if they're great views, but they're different views. This one says, Matthew Tukaki screaming racist at anyone who criticises the government. Or just anyone who criticises Matthew. But at least, again, he fronted up as well. One moment. Susan, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Sean. Lovely to talk to you.
What can I do you for? Yeah, I've got you loud and clear. Thanks. Susan, you'll need to turn your app down or something because there's a delay and it sounds weird. Okay? So, yeah, it's just you and me.
I'm just on my phone.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I wanted to talk about Claire and the whole plant-based movement. I'm a nutritionist, and my biggest concern is the health consequences of going plant-based.
Okay, tell us what those might be for the individual then.
Humans evolved to eat meat. We've evolved over millions of years to eat the food that was provided by the environment that we survived in. And so all our biochemistry is set up to require the nutrients that come from animal foods. And plant foods, we did, at some stages in our history, we did have access to plant foods and we can consume plant foods, but they don't provide all the nutrition that we need. The bioavailability of the nutrients aren't there. A lot of them are not in the correct forms that the body needs, so that our body has to go through a very complicated process to try and change them into the forms that we need. And there's a lot of serious health implications with being on a vegan diet. And one of the other issues with the vegan diet is that people stop eating meat, but they just start eating processed foods. So
yeah, well, it looks. I saw something on the internet. Someone said had the plant-based beef patty and the beef patty, and it said ingredients and on the beef patty it said beef, and on the plant-based beef patty it said lichen, food colouring, plant-based soy extract, and there was like 20 different things that then have to be processed together, using energy to process them together in a factory and everything. And the old killing chain, pretty easy. You whack it with the old stun gun or you slit its throat and you chop it up and put it in the freezer and bob's your wombat. One seems actually more closer to nature, brutal as it might seem to me, than everything being made in a test tube.
I totally agree. And some of those ingredients that go into those products are actually quite dangerous for our health. I'm just looking at the ingredients in her plant-based bacon at the moment.
Yeah, tell us.
It's full of soybean oil, textured soy protein. So we can't absorb soy protein the same way that we absorb animal protein. It doesn't have the same profile of amino acids.
Yeah.
The soybean oil is PUFA, very dangerous. We're learning how dangerous vegetable oils are for our health. And then they stick in some, you. I mean, it's got such a long list of.
Susan, I will be perfectly honest. I do, simply because of my lifestyle now. I don't eat a lot of meat. And it's not that I don't like it. It's just that preparing meat creates other issues for me that I don't have to deal with, and it's harder to... I mean, I'd rather boil a bowl of pasta and, throw some, throw some tomato sauce on it. So I don't do a lot of meat, Susan, but I do find it hard when people tell me that if I don't stop eating meat, I'm going to kill the planet. That really upsets me because I don't think it's true.
Well, I don't think that's true either, but I would be concerned about the quality of your diet if you're not getting enough protein. Pasta is full of carbohydrates.
I get eggs. I get eggs. I eat eggs. Eggs, celery, carrots.
Yeah, but no, there's still not enough. There's not enough protein, not enough nutrition, not enough amino acids.
I'll kill a beast. I'll kill a beast and roast it over the fire, Susan. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Great.